Hello, Nancy. Welcome to Screencast-O-Matic, and obviously this is your dashboard. I wanted to show you a couple of things and recap kind of what we did today. One thing you commented on is Updraft Plus. What's that? That is your backup and restore program. So if something terrible were to happen to the site, the server goes down, we potentially update to a different version of WordPress, and one of the plugins breaks. There are a variety of things that can go wrong, but using Updraft Plus is kind of an insurance program, the backup program that we're using. Whoever set that up for you has it set up to run daily. So we ran one on the second, and then you ran one on the third. Um, it's the data, so at this point, click to download. We can pull down the database, the plugins, the theme, et cetera, et cetera. And then if we wanted to, we could say, hey, restore from this version here. You might want to have someone or me take care of that for you if something did happen. If we're going to do something like this, I would suggest making a backup first. However, we have yesterday's backup already right here. One thing to backtrack on during this item right now is installed app plugins. These are all plugins that have a new version ready to go. It's pretty important to keep these things up to date. I know you're not running like WooCommerce or some other sort of payment portal. We discussed that, but we haven't really set it up yet. But if you're not running that, you're fairly safe as far as like people trying to hack you or whatever. I just installed this right here, this WP staging. And what this does is basically it will make a complete copy of just everything, all the posts, all the pages, whatever custom stuff you have going on in Appearance, a copy of all the plugins, and basically make a straight up 100% copy of your site and store it on their server. Then we'll go and log into that site and update all the plugins, update WordPress core, etc., and make sure that that works on the staging site. It would check the staging site. If everything seems like it's good and up to date, we can delete that copy, return to this being the main site, and then go through and update all of your plugins. I'm not going to do that during the screencast video. I only get 15 minutes per video. I don't want to keep this fairly straightforward. I'm already rambling, excuse me. But I'm going to take care of that for you and add that into that other hour of billing. So I'm going to get all these plugins updated for you, and we're also going to install the latest version of WordPress. One thing I want to do real quick to show you here is in the installed plugins is we have a couple that aren't running right now. Duplicator, because it's asking us to activate it, it's currently not running. We're running Updraft Plus. So Duplicator can go, it's just clutter. And then Gutenberg is the new block editor for WordPress. And it's basically is here to stay. And I think I would rather focus on training, making tutorials and training you on how to use this newer version, because I think it's totally suitable for what you're working on for your site. So let's go ahead and stick with the new version of the editor, which is already in use. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of this plugin too. Having these non-activated yet still installed plugins can be an issue too. So we've selected those two. I'm not sure what's happening with this one. But I noticed that within your theme, wherever that is, in here in the theme settings, in custom, it has a similar thing to this right here. And as long as this isn't active already, we're going to go ahead and get rid of this one too. So let's just real quick, we're going to go through and not only deactivate, but we're going to delete the non-activated plugins. So we're going to go ahead and with our bulk actions, we're going to go to delete because those haven't, it's not even active, it's not being used. It is safe to delete those three. So we're going to get rid of those. It only takes a second. And there they go. So now you've got 13 plugins to update. I want to jump back to now, okay, so I'm going to table that, but what I was getting at, I'm going to do the WP staging, make a copy of the site, update all the plugins there, test that site. Once it's good to go, I'll come back to the main site, the live one, and update those, and then we should be all up to date and good to go. The next thing I wanted to show you was where we were previously in appearance, and then we go to widgets, and I made a minor edit to what we had going on previously. So there's kind of you should have a line in here to be kind of nice. I mean, this gap makes enough sense to some folks, but so these are available widgets, and these are all the things that we can add to the site. Like, for example, if you wanted to add a search button, you can say, hey, put that in the primary sidebar, and then add the widget, and it shows up over here in search. These are the toggle buttons I was discussing earlier, but we can grab that and move it to the top. We can grab that and pull it back down to the bottom. Or if we don't need it, we can go ahead and delete. So that's kind of like a real quick recap of what's happening over here in the available widgets section. And we have all kinds of things like categories, custom HTML if we wanted to add like a social media feed, add another version of the navigation, dump in like one little video, just a little text block saying thanks for checking in, etc. But in our primary sidebar, which is this right here, we fixed this today. So upcoming events, we now have this, what was at home on the top half of the page is now in here as its own standalone post. And you're asking about the formatting. It has some of this formatting already included. And you can see this is the title. This is that second block that I believe we changed to like H3. Here's our bulleted lists. And then here's the paragraph. So these are the 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks that we built today in that custom post. Not custom post, but the post that we're using to display here. So under upcoming events, took the liberty of changing this to the category previously was blog. So now what we're going to pull into our events section are only posts that are categorized as events. And we change this number to 1. It won't allow us to do a 0 in there, which we learned together earlier. But we can change this number to 2 or 3 when you have a few events that are all in the future. So we can go ahead and whatever we edit here, we'll just go ahead and hit save. Because like if we change that to a 2, then we'll need to save it. But go ahead and back that to 1 how we had it before. Go ahead and save that. I'm going to show you what I did with that post then. So over here in posts, all posts, go ahead and flip over to this screen. And this is the one that we essentially pulled the content from the top of the home page and turned it into this post. You can see here now that it's also labeled as events. From here under quick edit, we can go ahead and choose which category to add it to. And then if we maybe didn't want to do blog for some reason, we could change that. If you did have, update this just to be safe. If you did have something, I'm not sure of all your content. Okay, here we go. Networking events. Jump in here real quick just to see what's happening in there. Here's a new event. Just for the sake of argument, if this were still pending, we could change the category. This was happening earlier. Attempt recovery. Okay, that's odd. I don't know why it's doing that, but we need to go back. This little thing is going to mess me up. Let's go back. I think doing whatever we did there when we hit duplicate text, that's what happened, that now we have this second one. But what I was getting at is that you could, if you wanted to, if you're inside of a particular post and we wanted to change it, darn it, why is it doing that? I'm guessing maybe because operating system is out of date. But you can also change that. Let's do this. I'll show you a better way to do that. Posts, go to add new. When we're in posts, that was in add new too. I'm going to pause here. Okay, well, that was interesting and informative. Welcome back. Real quick, I'm going to show you this. So when we were getting that kind of white screen of death and we're getting this error message, WordPress SEO post scraper, we're getting an error that was kicking us out of either editing or adding a new post. And what was going on, in a nutshell, which I'm coming up on the 15-minute mark, so this is going to be video 1 of 2, but in a nutshell, we're running Yoast version of 8.1, which we hadn't even really activated yet, wherever that was. So I deactivated Yoast altogether, and now we can do whatever we need to do with our posts. Did a little research, and because we're basically at least 3 versions of Yoast behind, it was crashing our editing post functionality. So that was a very literal, in practice, that is why we need to make sure that we keep plugins up to date. So I'm going to do this WP staging, update the plugins that we have, get you up to the new version of WordPress, get this guy reinstalled and activated, and we should have a much more stable, usable system after that. So we're at 14 minutes here. I apologize if this is a little scattershot, but I was trying to do a recap of what we did today and ran into this problem. So I'm going to fix this stuff up and then record video part 2 for you. So video part 1 of 2 is ending. Thanks for your patience. I'll see you in part 2.